Raw consciousness does not require a savior, but rather, raw consciousness requires only knowledge of oneself and the power to access it. Remember this, as we unlock an even greater gnosis from beyond the veil.
From the Pacific Northwest, good morning, good evening, wherever you may be across the nation, around the world. I'm Chris Gio. I'll be taking you beyond the veil this evening. I am joined, of course, by my lovely wife and co-pilot, Mrs. Gio.
Good evening, everyone.
Who is looking very lovely today.
Thank you.
How is the little twin today?
I'm good. You know, I just realized I might need to, if I'm going to wear glasses on the show, in order to avoid a glare, I probably need to move the camera ever so slightly. We'll do that during the break.
Perhaps.
Yeah, but I'm doing.
You're still looking really cute.
Oh, thank you. Mm-hmm. I'm feeling fantastic, and
I would like to turn your camera.
Doing great.
Point your camera downwards a little bit.
Why? You're gonna cover up the ISIS. Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah, but you look tiny compared to me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe I need to get closer to the camera.
Yes.
Anyway.
Now, we had a special guest tonight, but we had to reschedule last minute. So we figured, you know what, since we're dressed, we're ready to go, we might as well do a show for you guys and gals. We rescheduled the guest too.
Good.
Tomorrow,
yeah.
Richard Allen Miller will be joining us. Dr. Richard Allen Miller. Love the guy. One of my favorite guests to have on Beyond the Veil.
Me too.
So today I came across a CIA document that I wanted to cover about Operation Bluebird. Now, somebody posted in the esoteric group on Facebook that Kev Baker just recently did a show called The Blue Chicken Cult Exposed. And as we've talked about before on the show, the whole David Wilcock thing with the Blue Avians and the Corey Good thing and all that, it has all fallen apart, as we said it would several years ago. I mean, you know, when people were jumping all over the information, I was like, hey, this is complete horseshit. It's repeated material, just with the characters changed out. Now it's going to be Arcturians, and then next, who knows what. It was first it was Zetas, and then it was Palladians, and then it was the Bluebirds, and then the Arcturians, and you know, it's just the same kind of scheme, just kind of repeated. But you know, the purpose of the show isn't to bash anybody. It's just to kind of point out what has been going on in the consciousness realm and how to avoid some of the pitfalls and traps. There is something else that I wanted to get into real quick, and it's worth a mention. I don't want to spend too much time on it. But YouTube, apparently, I just read an article on Independent. Now, I don't know how much I can trust this news source, and this is a problem. You know, this is the problem, and I can see both perspectives here. I can see why YouTube is making a push for this, but then again, it's really bad. But there's a lot of fake news, and you can't really trust anything out there in this day and age because it's nothing but a bunch of repeaters and parrots and people just parroting and repeating information without doing any fact checking or anything like that. Yeah. And you get all these crazy stories that circulate. But YouTube is supposedly deleting millions of channels. No, I'm sorry, I take that back. Hundreds of thousands of channels and millions of videos that have to do with conspiracy. Flat Earth,
vaccines,
vaccines, anything on the quote-unquote fringe.
Right.
And, you know, I saw this coming several years ago. I was one of the voices that was like, hey, guys, come on, we got to do some fact-checking here, okay? And I started talking about some of the conspiracies that don't really add up. And people were like, oh, you're part of the agenda, you're part of this and that, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, look, I'm looking for truth. That's what it's all about. I'm looking for the truth. And plus, I want to maintain my platform here on YouTube. I want to maintain my platform on TFR and everywhere else. And I want it to be a platform with integrity and a platform where people do fact-checking and, you know, they have journalistic integrity with what they do and not just repeating information just because it sounds good or confirms biases. Well, so well, let me say this real quick. That was the thing with the Blue Avians. It's not like I have anything against the Blue Avians, and it's not like I have anything against David Wilcock or anybody like that. It's I know the facts behind the story. I know the lack of facts as well, and how, I mean, you know, George Kavassilis, he said it on the show, so it's not like, you know, now I can finally say his name. But he told me several years ago, before the Corey Good thing, all about the Blue Avians. And he told me that they approached him and they they asked him to be the spokesperson or the contactee for the Blue Avians. And George was like, hell no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to lie to everybody. But he was approached with the story several years ago. I just couldn't say anything about it because he told me in confidence. And when somebody tells me something in confidence, I keep it in confidence. But he actually came out on the last show and said it publicly. So now I can say it publicly too. I knew what was going on with the Blue Avians several years ago before anything. And so I was, reading all these people's testimonies about channeling the Blue Avians and this and that. And I'm like, this is completely made up bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
It's clear. Anyways, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say and I forgot what I was going to say.
I'm sorry.
Oh, crud. I had it and then I lost it. Please.
Okay.
Continue.
So, it's unfortunate. It really is. But my purpose here right now, after the reset in Egypt, there's 4 years and a few months time space between the reset event and the time when it actually resets. The system has to work, and it's like a minute for every year or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't remember. We did the math.
Those lines.
Yeah, we did the math. But while we're waiting for this to happen, I want to make sure to avoid all of the consciousness pitfalls and traps and everything that the grays, which I do agree are real, but they're not from another planet.
No.
And they're not coming down and making contact with people. They're viruses within the matrix that are interdimensional. They're not even supposed to be in the matrix. At first, I believed that they were background workers. They're not.
Yeah, they're
complete
virus
manifestations.
Yeah. Well, I liken it to whenever you have a virus in a human body, there's whenever something is able to be seen that spreads or that this virus piggybacks on top of, you call it a virus particulate. And I see grays as virus particulates. They're little pieces of the virus that have a hive mind, and they all work in unison with one another. It's really creepy, and they have no place in this system at all. They have no place in the system.
Right. They're not foreign to the system because they're in the system.
Right.
But they're interdimensional little fuckers.
Right.
That's the only way that I can describe them as.
And you had an experience just the other night with grays.
This was interesting. It was 2 nights ago, I think.
Yeah, the night before last.
I talked about it on Facebook briefly, and I'll give you the brief story here too. But so first of all, let me pull up the Egyptian sun disk. One moment, ladies and gentlemen, because I want to have a visual here so you can see what I'm talking about. And we've talked about the sun disk many times before, so you might be familiar with the motif. And you might be familiar with the story, but for those that aren't, I want to include it here with this tale. All right, so the Egyptian sun disk. We noticed that this was in the holy... Oh, you know what? I've got one right back here. I don't know why I just didn't show you this one that I got right here. I got to pull it up on the screen. Anyways, so the Egyptian sun disk we found in the Holy of Holies everywhere we went in Egypt, and we realized that this repels the grays.
Yep.
So we have one in the house here, apparently, and others as well. Since we started using the winged sun disk, the grays have not been interfering with our experiences or psychedelic experiences.
They haven't been able to touch us.
Nothing at all.
Yeah.
And so people have actually gotten it tattooed on them because it's really a powerful symbol. And it didn't dawn on me until a couple of months ago to actually look up what the symbol meant. I was just going by energy, which is exactly what we did in Egypt. We just went totally off energy. And so this is a symbol of divinity. So this is claiming your divinity. It's just a proclamation of your divinity. But you have to understand your divinity and know your divinity, not just know of your divinity. You have to really have it
and claim
here
it
in your heart, in your consciousness, in your raw consciousness, and bring it out. And even though I knew about my divinity, I knew about sovereignty, I knew about all of that, I hit that on by mistake. I knew about all of that. I still didn't really know it until we got back from Egypt. You know, I didn't know it from my raw consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So the Greys have left us alone. But the other night, I had multiple encounters with these things. But the dynamic was different. In previous encounters, they would flash this white light and they would walk into the house, and then that's it. Boom. You're asleep. And we saw this over and over and over again. We even had an experience where the three of them came in the back door. I said something, you know, why are they wearing Halloween costumes? And boom, that's it, lights out. And the next day, Cherie comes downstairs and she said, I had this really weird dream. You said something about Halloween costumes and there were these three Greys here. So, you know, we've had those situations. But in this particular situation, they appeared, but they couldn't cross the barrier, which was our house.
Right.
Something was pulling me out of bed, going downstairs into the sliding glass door that's in the backyard. And I'm looking out the glass door, and Bastet, the kitty, is sitting there, and she's freaking out at the door. She's staring at something, like something's there. I walk downstairs and I look outside, and my backyard isn't my backyard. It's a different type of scene. And there's this gothic kind of girl, witch gothic. It wasn't like a sexual appeal, like, hey, come out here. It was like a witch or spellcaster or something like that was saying, hey, I have a message for you. Come out here, come out here. And I'm like, y'all are fucking Greys. I know you're Greys. And so I found myself projecting this winged sun disk from my raw consciousness. And as I projected it outwards, it appeared in gold, which is different than what I would imagine it to appear as, because my energetic field is like this blue that's all over the place. This is why our colors are blue and pink, because these are our energetic signatures. So gold is not really in the equation here, but it projected itself out as gold. And every time I would project this out, they would turn back into Greys. Whatever was standing in front of me, the girl with the gothic girl, etc. So they kept telling me, come outside, come outside. I'm like, I'm not coming outside. No way. But I still felt this pulling. So in previous experiences, they would put you in this hypnotic state and then do whatever they wanted. I remember one experience, they came in the house. I was wearing an Isis pendant. And I remember being pulled up by the Isis pendant while I was incapacitated consciously. It was almost as if I was standing outside of my body, and they were pulling up my body like this, and I could feel the choking even though I was standing outside of my body. And they were looking at the Isis pendant with this disgust, like, oh, that's one of hers. And so I woke up and I had this mark around my neck. So I wake up in my bed again. I go back downstairs. Bastet is again at the window and she's freaking out. And this time, outside, there's a big fire. And there's firefighters outside saying, come on, you got to get out of the house. You got to get out of the house. You got to. And I'm looking at them and they're taking human form. And they're like, come on, you got to get out. We're here to help you. We're here to help you. And I'm like, y'all are fucking Greys. And I could see this again, the projection of the winged sun disk out again. And then boom, they turned back into Greys. And this happened 3 or 4 times in 3 or 4 different types of scenarios. But I think it goes to show that when we understand our own divinity, they can't take us over. All they can do is just invite and say, come on, we're here to help you. Come on, it's going to be great. It's going to be huge. You're going to love it. And we make these contractual agreements with these entities. They appear as Bluebirds. They appear as Palladians. They appear as all this other shit.
Yeah.
So this whole Bluebird thing is multidimensional. It's on the surface just a bunch of fuckheads trying to make money. And so they're selling books and telling tales of blue avians. But through that act of putting that into people's consciousness, now people are open to the idea of these Bluebirds. So now the grays can come in and take something out of your consciousness, which in this particular case happens to be the bluebirds, manifest in front of them. This is angels too. You know, this can happen with angels. It can happen
archangels,
with demons.
especially.
It can happen with whatever it is that's in your consciousness. They can just shapeshift and just manifest like that.
Right.
And so they're manifesting into something that you are familiar with. Come on, come out here, come out here, come out here.
Well, you know, it's funny. It's like a vampire. You know how a vampire, you have to ask the vampire to come in order for the vampire to be able to come in, according to vampiric lore. Well, it's like that, except worse, because not only are they asking to make contact with you and to be inside of your personal space, they want you to actively do it yourself.
You have to open your heart.
Yes, exactly.
That's how they get in. They get in through the heart.
Right.
Everything went into your heart. Jesus went into your heart. The bluebirds went into your heart.
Yes.
The Palladians went into your heart. I read some Palladian channels, and the first things that it said, open your heart
to us. Yep.
It's right there in the very beginning.
Right. So it's like a vampire, but it's even worse because it goes much deeper into who you are spiritually and what you desire spiritually. If you desire Archangel Michael to appear to you and tell you everything's going to be okay and to give you this wisdom from on high, then that's what you're going to see. And it's going to be a gray, basically giving you what you want so that you'll open up more and more and more to their influence. And then pretty soon your life is just a series of decisions that you think you're making, but actually these grays are making it for you.
Right.
Yep.
Now, as above, so below. Okay. The keywords here are Operation Bluebird. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly.
Yep.
You hear this repeated over and over and over and over and over again. So let me just break down the levels here for a second. So first of all, you got the people in the front who are just basically useful idiots, and they're trying to make money.
Right.
And so they come up with this whole bluebird shit.
Yeah.
Underneath that, you have or outside of that, I should say, you have the manipulators who are the infections, the virus in the system, the grays, that are able to now use what's in the consciousness in order to manifest and lead people and fool people. And see, the thing is, the grays don't have the power that we do.
Right.
So they need us in order to do what they need done. And we, like idiots, do it.
We do all the work for them.
We do all the work for them. I mean, we're tying the noose around our own neck.
Right.
Oh, we got a donation from Laureen. Laureen, thank you so much for the love.
Thank you.
So the other factor of this is the CIA document that we came across, which has been out there for a long time. It's not like the last CIA document that we just happened to find it, like right then and there. This has been out for a long time. And this was another thing that really keyed me off to the whole Bluebird thing, because I saw Blue Avian and I was like, that's Operation Bluebird. No doubt about it. Operation Bluebird was a CIA project. And Mrs. G, if you want to get into that, I'll let you take it from here if you want. Or, I mean, I can just, go into it too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Bluebird is the cryptonym for a CIA mind control program that ran from 1951 to 1953. Other mind control programs include Artichoke, MK Ultra, and MK Search. The purpose of the book, Bluebird, there was a book that was written called Bluebird, and the point of it was to prove that the military and the CIA have been creating Manchurian candidates for operational use since the Second World War. This fact is described repeatedly by G.H. Eastbrooks and in CIA documents on Bluebird and Artichoke obtained through the Freedom of Information Act.
Let me jump in for just a moment.
Okay.
So let me go to the CIA. Let's just go straight to the source.
Yeah, let's just go to the actual document.
The purpose of this project, this is Operation Bluebird. How did I just sound like Alex Jones right there? This is from the documents, ladies.
I have the
my
documents.
God. It still is stuck. All the years of listening to that guy, it still is stuck. The purpose of this project is to provide for the immediate establishment of the integration teams for the operational support of OSO and OPC activities. The teams will utilize the polygraph, drugs, and hypnotism to attain the greatest results in interrogation techniques. It is important that the project be established in such a considerable public and government interest has recently developed in the use of hypnotism for interrogation and for personality control purposes. Bizarre. This interest stems from the recent spy trials in Hungary and blah, 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 blah. The immediate purpose of this project is to provide interrogation teams utilizing the cover of polygraph interrogation to determine the bona fides of high potential defectors and agents. A team is to be comprised of 3 persons consisting of a doctor, psychiatrist, and hypnotist, and a technician. It is proposed that the two teams be established, et cetera, et cetera. I'm just trying to skip it because the last one was like 6 freaking hours long.
Yeah, I know.
Where's the split personality part? That's what I'm looking for here.
I can probably find that for you.
Okay. Yeah, I just had it on my screen a minute ago, but essentially what it talks about is how this Operation Bluebird is to create split personalities, and as you said, Mrs. Geo, Manchurian candidates. Mm-hmm. So what are we doing here with Operation Bluebeam, or with the Blue Avians? That's splitting the consciousness. Now you have a false reality. Now you have this whole idea of what's going on in the outer realms, for lack of a better term, and you're being fed all of this information. So now you're split in two in your own consciousness. I actually just read a post on the ayahuasca forum the other day, and they said, since I started doing ayahuasca, I've come to realize that there's all these extraterrestrials out there, and there's a war between the extraterrestrials, and there's some that are here to help us, and there's some that are not here to help us, and I don't know what to do. And this person was just basically insane, like they gone crazy, and they said my main source is Gaia TV, and I'm like, well, all right, so you're watching too much. I just left this comment. I said, you're watching too much Gaia TV. And what you're doing is you're manifesting what you're hearing externally in your ayahuasca experiences. Then when you're manifesting those, you're not discerning between external information and internal information. And this is what psychedelics do. Psychedelics are mind manifesting. So because it's mind manifesting, whatever you bring into your consciousness, you're going to manifest. So there has to be discernment and filtering that takes place. But as we talked about in that last CIA document that we covered, when you're practicing Kundalini, when you're practicing meditation, when you're practicing manifestation, so on and so forth, there are certain brain wave states that you can be placed within, and you can even place yourself in. And we've got stuff bombarding us all over the place. I mean, we've got Gwen Towers, we've got stuff from the television, we've got 5G, we've got all this shit that's bombarding us, that is changing the brain waves of the waves of our brain. So you can put yourself in a state to where the left brain shuts down, the logical processor, and instead it's the right brain just going crazy. Or maybe I got it backwards. I don't remember which part of the brain is which, but anyways, it's neither here nor there. So one part of the brain is going crazy and just imagining. The way the discernment is supposed to work is supposed to be the completion of the loop of the Kundalini, or the completion of the loop in the meditation or the psychedelics or whatever. The discernment has to come in. So now you're manifesting things with your mind, with psychedelics, for example. We just use psychedelics because that's our go-to here. It's a tool that I know works 100% every single time. No ifs and ands or buts about it. So one part of the brain is having the visions. Then that passes through the logical processor. And then you start to discern that. And you're like, okay, so does this make sense? Is this really visions that I'm having? Or is this external information that I'm bringing into my brain? Like, it seems like the logical processor has been shut down on humanity as a whole. You look at even the truth movement and all the fake news, going back to what we were talking about at the very beginning, And nobody's doing any fact checking. Nobody's doing any discerning. Nobody's doing anything. They're just using the part of the brain that's like, oh, hey, you know what? This sounds great with what I already think I know and what I believe, et cetera, et cetera. No need to fact check this. No need to put this through the logical processor and see if this makes any sense. And according to that last CIA document that we covered, what happens when that is done? Then we, as the collective consciousness, actually begin to manifest these realities, these false realities that we're being fed.
Mm-hmm. So I found a document that talks specifically about what they did to two 19-year-old girls to create multiple personalities. And it's very difficult to read.
Linda, hold on. Before you get, Linda said something great. So basically everything is programming and we're just being used to program the matrix. You know, I think you just might have basically just said it all there, Linda. So, all right, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Show is over. Linda just wrapped it up for us. No, I think that's amazing. Yeah, exactly.
It says outline of special H.
That's actually really insightful.
It says outline of special H cases. I sent it to you in Skype so you can look at it yourself. In a general request for volunteers, and then it's blanked out, volunteered for H experimentation and were originally...
Yeah, I know that document
something on 21 May 1951. Both girls were at this time 19 years of age. On January 9th, 1952, in a group of volunteers, blank was initially tested in the H techniques alone with a group of volunteers. Blank at this time was 20 years of age. In each instance, all volunteers on the initial contact were given a brief discussion of H, were given a very general picture of security's interest in the work, and were given a very something. God.
Okay, well, let's do this. Yeah. Why don't you go through it a little bit better?
Okay.
And we will take a quick break because I got to go get some e-liquid anyways.
Okay.
And then we can get back to it. Dun dun. Looking for my break music here.
If you have a golf ball sized consciousness, when you read a book, you'll have a golf ball size understanding. When you look out, a golf ball size awareness. And when you wake up in the morning, a golf ball size wakefulness. But if you could expand that consciousness, then you read the book, more understanding. You look out, more awareness. And when you wake up, more wakefulness. It's consciousness. And there's an ocean of pure, vibrant consciousness inside each one of us. And it's right at the source and base of mind, right at the source of thought, and it's also at the source of all matter. This pure consciousness is called by modern physics the unified field. That allows any human being to dive within, experiencing subtler levels of mind and intellect, and transcend and experience this ocean of pure consciousness. It's at the base of all mind and all matter. And it's not the intellectual understanding of this field, but the experiencing of it that does everything. It's consciousness.
dear traveler. The purpose of raw consciousness is never to destroy. It is always to create. Build bridges. Create happiness. And bring forth new life. We must live in the hope that mankind will draw together. And that we better understand each other. The more that we awaken, the easier this will become. Now rise. Follow your conductors. And fear no danger. As you step beyond the veil.
Let's jump back into it. I have the one and only Segment Kitty. I couldn't find Bastet. Segment was sleeping, actually. I shouldn't have woken her up. But I wanted to show you guys how big they have gotten. Look at that. Look at that. That is a cat. That is a bona fide cat.
Oh, and she's turning into a bona fide cat, too.
Mm-hmm.
She's, I mean, they even put their butt up in the air if you scratch their butt now. And they run like cats, and they when they play fight, they're not just, cute little fur balls that are rolling around. They're actually like doing that standing up straight, like on with their back arched and everything. It's really neat to see all of the hard work that we've been doing paying off, because they've gotten so much bigger, and they're eating healthy, they're sleeping healthy. They're doing so great, and
they think they have a right to everything we eat.
Yeah, that's true. Like
there are food testers.
Daddy gave them people food like 2 weeks ago, and ever since it's become like more and more common for them to want to eat every single thing that we're eating. And they even drink, one of them drinks coffee. This one right here, she actually drinks hot coffee and likes it.
She's on the mixer. They love the mixer. I don't know why.
It's warm.
You can't be on the mixer
while we're doing a show, baby. Yeah, I can take her back if you want me to. But yeah, we just wanted to show you guys.
I know they've gotten big. Look at that. Oop.
But do you think, we were talking about this yesterday, do you guys think that the fact that she likes to drink hot coffee, especially in the morning, and they both seem really like deep. They have deeper emotions and stuff. Sometimes, okay, well, actually every night for the past week or so, this one has been basically like getting on me and nuzzling me like over and over again, and just hugging me practically. And she actually has tears coming out of her eyes, and while she's doing this, and it's almost like she's trying to tell me that she has deeper emotions than, I mean, if you were a cat and you weren't able to, or if like a human was a cat and wasn't able to tell people, hey, I used to be a human, wouldn't that be what you did to try to like show them, hey, I have deeper emotions than you think, and I can really understand what you're saying because I used to be one of you. I don't know. Not one of us specifically, because organic consciousness, I don't think comes back as...
People love their kitties, and they want to believe that their kitties are humans reincarnated. Here's the thing, though. Would you want to reincarnate as a freaking cat?
I don't think they're humans.
I mean, I don't want to. Okay, maybe it's just me, just like going, I don't want to reincarnate as a cat.
I know
or
that.
Or a cow or anything like that.
But you're organic. What about an NPC,
cats,
though?
Okay, so, I mean, when you think about this, right? They're prisoners.
Yeah.
Like, we let them out. We take them out in the backyard.
Mm-hmm.
But we put a collar on their neck.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't let them run the neighborhood because they are tiny and it's for their safety. But that's still, I mean, you're essentially trapped. They're trapped behind the metal screen door that we have in the front door, and they're not allowed to go out there. That's a prisoner.
But we're also trapped in this reality that we're in. And
we're
the only
prisoners
people that complain about it are the organics, but the NPCs, they feel totally at home here and comfortable.
Why would we incarnate? Sekhmet, please don't get on the mixer. Come on, that's the one spot you can go anywhere in the studio you want except for the mixer.
Aww.
But why would we reincarnate in that kind of existence where we can't even open the refrigerator and get something to eat?
We wouldn't, but an might.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
I love them.
Just a thought.
They're what I think is that they're programmable consciousness. They're like little programmable things that we can imprint our own essence upon them, and so that's why they become more like us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's also another avenue of thought.
But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm going to come back as a kitty cat.
Aww.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind coming back as
one of our cats.
Because we treat our cats like royalty.
Yeah, we really do.
But that's not the case for the majority of cats.
Yeah, the majority of cats are not treated as well as we treat ours. So, getting back to this document, because this is actually an artichoke document about the experimental creation of multiple personality in two 19-year-old girls that I was talking about earlier. So H is actually used for hypnotic, hypnotized, or hypnotism. It says on page 32, these subjects have clearly demonstrated that they can pass from a fully awake state to a deep hypnotized controlled state via the telephone, via some very subtle signal that cannot be detected by other persons in the room, and without the other individuals being able to note the change. It has been clearly shown that individuals can be induced into hypnotism by telephone, by receiving written matter, or by the use of code, signal, or words. Control of those hypnotized can be passed from one individual to another without great difficulty. It has also been shown by experimentation with these girls that they can act as unwilling couriers for information purposes, and that they can be conditioned to a point where they believe a change in identity on their part, even on the polygraph. So
even under a polygraph, they don't know. It's creating a separate space within a brain that can carry certain types of information.
Right.
Or do certain functions without the individual being conscious of it.
Right, exactly. And so
why are they calling the Blue Avians after this CIA operation that was back in like the 50s or 60s? I mean, this is an old operation. It's not like, they're running Operation Bluebird right now. I mean, they are, but they changed it to Project Artichoke.
Right.
So they changed the name at least.
Right, exactly.
Segment not on the mixer, please, baby. Okay, fine. If you stay on the top of the mixer, you're good. All right. How about that? That's
another artichoke
the
document. So it describes analogous case number 3. A CIA security office employee was hypnotized and given a false identity. She defended it hotly, denying her true name and rationalizing with conviction the possession of identity cards made out to her real self. Later, having had the false identity erased by suggestion, she was asked if she had ever heard of the name she had been defending as her own just 5 minutes before. She thought, shook her head, and said, "That's a pseudo if I ever heard one." Apparently, she had true amnesia for the entire episode.
Interesting. So the second alter took over.
Yeah.
And the second alter was not aware of the first alter at all.
Yeah, exactly. And then they were able to switch it back to her original, real consciousness, in a sense, her real identity. And then she said, that's a fake name that I was just saying was a real name 5 minutes ago. Just, they were able to turn it off and on like a light switch. In an experiment described in a document entitled "SI and H Experiment."
Let me jump in for just a second, because it's got me thinking now about the New Age. So now I'm looking at at Operation Bluebird, and I'm comparing it to the New Age stuff. What's the New Age talk about? We're source consciousness. That's our real essence. We return back to source, et cetera,
right.
Where we're like, no, we are individual, we're unique, we're raw consciousness, et cetera, et cetera. And we need to maintain who we are rather than lose who we are. But there seems to be this push in the New Age to to remove your essence of yourself and instead return to a source consciousness,
Right.
which is not like another altar within your consciousness. It's like another section. And I can tell you from experiencing the ego death in the psychedelic realm, there is a point where you get to where you are not aware of your name or your body or your identity at all. And see, my goal was to be able to get to that point and then go beyond that point while still retaining the information. It's kind of like a circle, you know. You get to that point of ego loss, but then you come back up and you start to remember who you are, like who your true identity is underneath all of these different programs. So again, it's the same thing. You don't complete the loop. The CIA document that we covered before was talking about the Kundalini. You have to complete the loop. Same with the ego death. It's all about ego death, ego death, ego death, but they're not talking about completing the loop.
Right.
And so again, we're just running in circles.
Right. That point at which you come back around to rediscovering yourself and finding out who you really are and coming to terms with that and saying, wait a second, I haven't been me. You know, this whole time I've been what these people told me to be, or what those people told me to be, or what my parents told me to be, or what, you know, and all of it, when all of that is stripped away, then you have to come back around to that point where you recognize yourself again, or you're going to be sucked right back into these loops of different alters and personality programs and all of that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that is very true.
Yeah.
It's amazing because the more of this that I unfold, the more I start to look into, the more I realize that our hypothesis and thesis is correct as to who we are, the direction that we need to go as far as remembering. You know, it's already there. It's underneath all of these different programs, all of these different altars. Let's look at an altar as a lifetime within the matrix. You know, you want to look at as above, so below. What are we imprinted with now? We're imprinted with altar after altar after altar. And it's like, you know, hey, can you remember your past lives? Oh, past life recollection. Oh, I can regress you to your past life and this and that and blah, 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 blah. But nobody ever says, well, I can help you to see who you really are underneath all of that. It's always regressed to a different altar or something like that.
Yep.
To give you the illusion of a forward motion. When, you know, it's fine if you're going that direction, but you have to keep going. It's when you stop that you fall into the trap, I think.
Oh, yeah. It's not just when you stop. It's when you become stagnant and you become so comfortable in being that altar that you completely lose sight of who you once were and who you actually are. And thus, your spirituality is always going to be shallow. And you're not even going to realize it. That's the sad part. You're going to think it's an ocean when it's the kiddie pool.
True. And not, okay, so with me personally, the ancient soul, right? The ancient soul doesn't look at Chris Geo as if it doesn't recognize Chris Geo. The ancient soul understands that Chris Geo is an identity that the ancient soul has been utilizing in this particular existence. There's no separation of the altars. There's no, like in this CIA document here where they're talking about separating the altars to where one altar doesn't recognize the other. Chris Geo, likewise, recognizes the ancient soul, and it's all working together now and realizing, you know, these are experiences and not identities that we are. It's not who we are, it's what we're doing at the particular time. But again, back to the New Age stuff, it's jumping from one altar to another, to another, to another, to another, until that point of source consciousness, which is the complete annihilation of every identity and your raw consciousness and your self, your true essence, in exchange for some memory wipe type bullshit that you suddenly become part of the hive mind, and that's it.
That's the archonic way of saying, okay, well, if you're not happy with the layers of personalities that we've piled onto you, then fine, let's just destroy all of it and you become one of us. One of us.
Pretty much.
One of us. You know?
You know, the parallels are uncanny.
Yeah.
So, and they're even putting it in our faces. Operation Bluebird.
Yep.
Blue
Operation
avians.
Bluebird, Blue Avians.
It's right there.
Bluebirds.
Yeah.
In an experiment described in a document entitled SI and H Experimentation from September 25th, 1951, 2 female subjects took part in an exercise involving the planting of a bomb. Both subjects performed perfectly and were fully amnesic for the exercise. Deleted was instructed that upon awakening, she would proceed to deleted room where she would wait at the desk for a telephone call. Upon receiving the call, a person known as Jim would engage her in normal conversation. During the course of the conversation, this individual would mention a code word. When she heard this code word, she would pass into an SI trance state, but would not close her eyes and remain perfectly normal and continue the telephone conversation. That's on page 37. She was told that upon conclusion of the telephone conversation, she would then carry out instructions. Deleted was shown an electric timing device. She was informed that this device was a bomb and then instructed how to set the device. After she learned how to set and detach the device, she was told to take the timing device, which was in a briefcase, and proceed to the ladies' room, where she would be met by a girl whom she'd never seen, who would identify herself as the code word New York. Deleted was then to show this individual how to attach and set the timing device, and further instructions would be given that the timing device was to be carried in the briefcase to deleted room, placed in the nearest empty electric light plug, and concealed in the bottom left-hand drawer of a desk, with the device set for 82 seconds and turned on. That's pages 37 and 38.
Can I jump in for a minute?
Yeah.
Okay, so JC said that the shooter in Aurora was yelling that he was mind controlled.
Mm-hmm.
This is what happens after the plan has been executed. Then the Manchurian candidate then realizes what they've done, their true identity. The two begin to merge at some point because it's such a traumatic experience. That's not the only case. We hear this in case after case after case after case. There was that, I think it was the Fort Hood shooter. And he was saying that the microwave was telling him to kill.
Right.
How is the microwave telling him to kill? It's technology.
RF frequencies and things like that.
Right, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And I mean, it's again as above, so below.
Yeah.
So we open our hearts to these things that are on the other side, or we open our minds to the frequencies that are moving through the Gwen towers, et cetera, et cetera. That tells me that, again, the path is what we've been saying the path is, which is to go inward and not outward.
Yep.
Everything outward is an illusion. Everything outward is a program. Everything outward is a program. The only unprogramming can be done inward. That's it. That's the only place the unprogramming can be done. Inward, not outward.
Exactly. It all has to be inward.
But I digress.
Ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. As well as being potential couriers and infiltration agents, the subjects could function. This is from page 38 of Bluebird and Artichoke. Let's see. Oh, the subjects could function in effect as hypnotically controlled cameras.
Oh, we got a donation from King Henry. King Henry.
Oh, thank you, King Henry.
Salute, brother.
Long live the king.
Yes.
So they could enter a room or building, memorize materials quickly, leave the building, and then be amnesic for the entire episode. The memorized material could then be retrieved by a handler using a previously implanted code or signal without the amnesia being disturbed. Hypnosis was not the mind control doctor's only method for creation of controlled amnesia. However, drugs, magnetic fields, sound waves, sleep deprivation, solitary confinement, and many other methods were studied under Bluebird and Artichoke. Another problem addressed repeatedly in the documents is called the problem of disposal of subjects. The problem of disposal of subjects. Several personnel recommended the use of lobotomies for this purpose.
Which we're seeing time and time again with these shooters.
Yes.
Remember the Aurora shooter?
Yeah, the Aurora shooter.
He was completely lobotomized.
They used chemicals, but yeah, they took so much of his brain that it's always in the court proceedings, they look absolutely freaking insane. Like way more insane than they did before the shooting.
Yeah.
And it's weird.
I mean, they can't kill them all, because then
No.
it seems obvious.
Right.
So they lobotomize some, they kill others, but you never get to hear from them. You never do. I was actually surprised that there was so much footage of Saddam Hussein and so much footage of Muammar Gaddafi. They weren't part of that, I think. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. The point is that they usually don't let these people speak afterwards.
No. And of course people would say, oh, well, that's because, their lawyers would recommend to them that they don't speak to the public and, they don't go public with anything. But that can only go so far when you're talking about somebody that was screaming, the microwave told me to do this, or I've been brainwashed to do this by the government or something like that. You don't hear from them ever again.
That's true.
So
Nick Bravo sent a donation. Nick,
thank
brother.
you, Nick.
Thank you. The Blue Chicken cult leader tore into Elizabeth April just for asking a question. He's a freak. I don't know the guy personally.
I don't either.
I mean, he could be a mind control subject as well, and the whole Wilcock thing could be an element of mind control. Like, how do you get these people? I mean, I guess they approached George, right? And George he had the foresight enough and the integrity to tell him no.
Right.
But you get somebody who's a nobody, who's looking for his
looking
15
to be a
minutes of
somebody.
fame.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they agree to stand out in front of this, knowing that it's going to fall apart at some point. Because everything else is falling apart. The freaking white ninja dragon assassins, Ben Fulford, he got thrown under the bus. You know. Now there's a new guy that David Wilcock is parading around. And I mean, I got to hand it to David Wilcock. It's actually pretty clever to put somebody else in front.
Yeah,
exactly. That could be the fall guy.
Let him
for
be
your
the,
bullshit. Yeah, I mean, well played there, David. I'll give you that.
I think it's disgusting. But here's another document entitled Hypnotic Experimentation and Research, February 10th, 1954. It describes a simulation experiment of relevance to the creation of Manchurian candidate assassins. Miss Deleted was then instructed, having previously expressed a fear of firearms, that she would use every method at her disposal to awaken Miss Blank, now in a deep hypnotic sleep, and failing this, she would pick up a pistol nearby and fire it at her. She was instructed that her rage would be so great that she would not hesitate to kill her for failing to awaken. Miss Blank carried out these suggestions to the letter, including firing the unloaded gun at her and then proceeding to fall into a deep sleep. After proper suggestions were made, both were awakened and expressed complete amnesia for the entire sequence. Miss Blank was again handed the gun, which she refused in an awakened state to pick up or accept from the operator. She expressed absolute denial that the foregoing sequence had even happened. No knowledge that it happened. I'm so glad. I don't think I can be hypnotized. Because I
can't be hypnotized.
Yeah,
people have tried.
Yeah, people have tried to hypnotize me too, and that's why quitting smoking. It took having to go to vaping instead because I would try hypnosis to quit smoking, but no, it doesn't work.
Okay, so back to Gaia. Somebody, Underground King or Under K King. I don't know why I keep calling you Underground King. I think it's because you're from Houston.
Yeah.
He said, Gaia makes millions of dollars a month. I don't know if they make millions, but I know they make upwards of probably $1 million at least.
Yeah.
Because it's a pretty large operation. But what happened is there was this guy who was like Croatian or Serbian or something like that, and he came in and he bought up Gaia, and he bought. He was trying to buy Coast, and I don't know if he actually bought Coast, but I know that George was freaking out because he wanted to quit, but he was under contract, and he didn't want to work under the new people, and et cetera, et cetera. And they were trying to buy survival supply companies. They were trying to buy basically a lot of the conspiracy stuff,
alternative media,
especially the outlets that were the New Age stuff. And that's why everything all of a sudden in unison shifted and moved in one direction, because it was all one guy who was like a multimillionaire investor that was I mean, you want your investments to pay off. That's what it comes down to. So yeah, I was there during all of this. I was right in the middle of all of this, and I was watching things happening, and I was listening to people. And the thing is, sometimes I hear some stuff. Sometimes things are told to me in confidence, like with the George Kavassilas thing, and I can't say anything about it because I want to maintain my integrity. So I'm tapped in and tuned into different things that are going on, and I sometimes I can't say things at the time. Now I can talk about it though, because it all imploded upon itself.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about the LSD research through MK Ultra or okay. So MK Ultra was divided into 149 sub-projects. One group of sub-projects involved the development and testing of mind control drugs. The goal was to identify compounds which would assist in interrogation and in the creation of amnesia. The CIA sponsored LSD research through MK Ultra. It also financed LSD conferences and books. An undated document entitled D-lysergic acid diethylamide LDS 25 or LSD 25 states some of the more outstanding effects are the mental confusion, helplessness, and extreme anxiety which are produced by minute doses of this substance. Based upon these reactions, its potential use in offensive psychological warfare and in interrogation is considerable. It may become one of the most important psychochemical agents. That was on page 47, 51, 54, and 73. Let me
chime in on this because you're right. For interrogation, I could see the benefits of using LSD for interrogation. Because LSD, do you need to take a break?
Yeah, we'll just real quick while you're talking. Okay. I can. Yeah.
Okay, so the LSD, same with psychedelics, it puts you in a state of where you're dropping your walls. Let's just say that. And that's the whole point. You take the ayahuasca so you can go on the journey, so you can tear down all the walls, you can tear down all your garbage, your baggage, your traumas, et cetera, et cetera. But if used in the way that they were using it in Project Artichoke, then yes, absolutely. It can be, because it will put a person in a state to where they'll be honest, because they don't want to lie. When they're taking psychedelics, they don't want to lie to themselves. They're seeing they're seeing themselves for who they are, and they don't want to put those walls up anymore. And this segment, you can't lay on the mixer, sweetheart. I'm sorry. All right, I think I'm gonna take Sekhmet to bed, or I'm gonna have Cherie take her to her bed. But Sekhmet, kitty. No, not on the mixer. How about on the ground here? There you go. All right. So yeah, I mean, it can be used for that. Mind control, on the other hand, no. It does the opposite. It breaks the mind control. So there's a lot of talk. Well, not a lot. There's a couple of people. They're idiots. I won't mention any names, Jan Irvin, that have just completely lost their freaking mind when it comes to it. And some people are afraid of the psychedelics, which is why I talk about be your own shaman. See, when it's you and the plants, you don't have somebody else there putting suggestions into your mind while you're having these experiences. Become your own shaman. This is what I'm talking about. This is another reason why I'm apprehensive about going down to the Amazon. Because I don't know what the hell they're doing down there. I don't know what the shaman's doing or anything like that. I mean, me personally, I could go down there. But going down there for a first, second, third experience, best case, you're going to get a gringo that, doesn't know what he's doing and is just going to give you some ayahuasca and then go over you, and that's it. Worst case, well, there could be some shit that goes down. Things implanted in your mind. I mean, we've heard cases of shaman using scopolamine. Dennis McKenna was on the show. He drank some scopolamine brew, and being a seasoned psychonaut, he knows what scopolamine is. So he was able to identify it, but scopolamine is it's devil's breath. It's the mind control chemical in and of itself. I mean, it puts you in a zombie state. They call it zombie powder. So why is a shaman putting scopolamine in the brew? You know, some of us have a consciousness that's stronger to be able to take something like that and go, hey, wait a minute, this is scopolamine that I'm under. And so you can understand, you know, the difference. But the average person going to the Amazon doesn't. We were invited out to a retreat. And, I mean, you know, if they want to fly us down there and do all that, it's like first class VIP type of retreat and, you know, all this. Some of those retreats look really nice. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they're a great place. I told them, I said, you know, if we do that, if you want me to go out there, I got to see what you're doing. And I think they want me to put my stamp on it. And a couple of other people have put their stamp on it, like Graham Hancock and a few others. But you know, I got to see what you're doing. I got to see how you're making the brew. I got to see, you know, what kind of experiences you're giving people, et cetera, before I can put my name on something like that. I don't know. Anyways, I'm kind of digressing from the point here. The point is, you don't know what's in the brew. So I say go sit down with the plants one-on-one if you're going to do that. Guided meditation too. Guided meditation. You know, there's so many subliminals, there's so many suggestions, so many ways to get into your brain, get into your mind, sway things in one direction and another. I mean, sometimes we even do it to ourselves. We hypnotize ourselves and then go into these states and take all this information with us. And then we take external information and we manifest it internally. And then we believe that it's internal information. I mean, I'm guilty of it too. I've done this in the past. I've just moved beyond that. And I understand that. I didn't know that was the case because there was nobody talking about this before. And it was only through my own experiences that I was able to go, oh, okay, I saw a pitfall here, I saw a pitfall there, I saw a pitfall there. I assure you, when I was going through it, I didn't go, oh, there's a pitfall ahead. No, I went through the pitfall, I dropped into the pit, I got myself out of the pit, then I looked back and, oh shit, there's a pitfall there nobody's been talking about. So, Mrs. Geo? Sekhmet's laying next to me.
Aw.
She wanted to be on the mixer, but I can't have that.
I had
ain't nobody got time for that. Speaking of ain't nobody got time for that, we got to go here in a little bit.
Yeah, we do. I
got
had
an
a
MRI on my
dislocation
knee.
just now. So.
Oh, you had a dislocation?
Yeah, my big toe, I stubbed it earlier, and then I just hit it the wrong way just now, and it popped out again.
So does it ever pop out in one direction and then the other?
No, it's usually always like in the same direction. If it pops out this way one time, then it's usually going to pop out that same direction over and over again.
Because my knee pops out sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, and it pops out to the left, and sometimes it pops out to the right.
Oh, okay.
But it pops out in one direction or another. I think it's not a dislocation, it's a bilocation. It swings both ways. I shouldn't make your jokes about your...
No, that's it. That was funny.
Is it?
No, it's cute.
Okay.
Yeah. So I took care of it. I'm good. So it says unethical practice by physicians and the direct involvement of pharmaceutical companies are part of the history of hallucinogens. Under top secret clearance, Eli Lilly was given and those are the people that came up with
Eli Lilly. That sounds familiar.
Yeah, Prozac.
Oh,
I think they were the developers of Prozac.
The Psychotropics.
Yeah.
Okay, that's mind control.
It's some kind of antidepressant.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
If psychedelics were mind control,
right,
they would be on every freaking corner. The doctor would be giving it to you. But you know what?
Exactly.
Some people are seeing the benefits of psychedelics. Oakland just legalized mushrooms, ayahuasca, sacred plants.
Let me tell you something.
Denver did the same thing.
Yeah. The only see this article, it's from wanttoknow.info. I do have to disagree with them on that. Hallucinogens are not typically used by the government for any purposes because it carries so much of a risk to them of positive things happening for that person rather than the negative and all of that. That's why they had to use LSD, and they only found real value in LSD. They never found value in ayahuasca. They never found value in mushrooms. They never found value in anything but, LSD and maybe ketamine. That they were able to use it to a nefarious purpose, because psychedelics are not those kinds of drugs. They aren't conducive to that.
That's true. JC said, Chris, seems like you're looking at the jungle shaman experience from a fear-based perspective. Fear's not the right word. It's apprehension.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I like my brew stronger.
Yeah.
I like to actually go somewhere when I drink.
Right. Not just see pretty colors and wavy lines.
The average dose of dose of ayahuasca has about 15 milligrams of DMT in it. 15 milligrams.
That wouldn't even take me anywhere.
The largest I've done is 4,000 milligrams.
Mm-hmm.
The typical dose I would take is about 100 milligrams to 200 milligrams. So, yeah, it's apprehension.
I can't even have a good experience unless I take at least 40 milligrams.
Right.
So
I just don't see the point. I mean, if you want to go to a nice retreat, so you have a nice place, so you could be in a rainforest, et cetera, et cetera, I understand that.
Right.
I do.
Right.
But I think what happens is it becomes kind of an elitist kind of thing, because it costs thousands of dollars to do it.
To go do that.
So it's like, well, you have to be one of the elite to go down there, and you have to have several $1,000s to go spend, and blah 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 blah. And if you don't have that money, then you shouldn't do it. And I'm like, no,
no.
if you're drawn to have the experience, spend $25, get the plants, and make it yourself.
Right.
If you do ayahuasca in the right way, your surroundings then don't matter at that point.
No.
Not unless you're, trying to do something specific, like, what we did in the Great Pyramid.
Right.
And we needed the pyramid for a booster rocket to take us even deeper than we were able to go. But that's, aside from that, the typical ayahuasca kind of experiences, set and setting definitely is important. But setting, it doesn't matter whether you're in the rainforest or you're on a lake or you're in your backyard or something, as long as it's not chaotic. As long as you're not, constant, you have constant elements around you that you're like, oh my God, I got to watch this, I got to watch that. Oh, people are knocking at the door, people are walking in and out, et cetera, et cetera. It's a nice, calm space that you create for yourself. And if you do ayahuasca in the right way, then you will be outside of that space regardless. So your surroundings don't really play into the experience itself. When you're coming down, sure, it's nice to be in the rainforest and listen to the jungle and do all of that. I see the allure and the appeal.
Or when you're coming up, it's important. And in my journeys and
psychedelic ego retreat.
in my experience, the come up and the come down of ayahuasca, the surroundings are incredibly important. The music is incredibly important. The wrong kind of music will set the tone for not a bad experience. I've never had a bad experience on ayahuasca. I've had difficult experiences, but the music does play a huge role in setting the tone for it. And so I can understand, especially with something like LSD.
Those Icaros piss me the fuck off. I'm sorry, but if I have some shaman going, I would have to tell him to shut the fuck up. Dude, shut the fuck up. You are fucking up my trip.
You're really making it even more difficult for me to go anywhere right now.
We tried that at the beginning. We tried putting Icaros on. And it's just like, oh my God.
This is just annoying.
Yeah.
I understand what they're doing. But they're manipulating the energy by,
we are
certain
experiencing
sounds,
neo-shamanism and not, but, we take things and we improve on it. I mean, that's, we've got the brewing down to a science. We're using pH meters. We're using, Bluetooth fucking thermometers so we can monitor the temperature of the brew from the other room and, stuff like that. And we've taken this shit to the next level.
Yeah, we really have. Man.
So the music's going to reflect.
Yeah.
The music is more of a techno, tribal kind of, and with no words. That's
Yeah,
the thing. That's
no
what I
words.
really love.
No
is
English words
No
anyway.
words. Yeah, sometimes some foreign words, but English words get in the way.
Yeah.
But just let the frequencies take you. Let the music take you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
Drums especially.
whatever you need, psychologically or spiritually or even physically, in that space, it's like everything manifests instantaneously. In a lot of my experiences, it's been about, all right, here's where you're screwing up a little bit, but it's okay. Just, here's what you need to do for it. And then after the ego is like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll calm down now. I'm way out of line here. Then the reward happens. And then that reward is incredible, and it's beautiful, and it's like a gift to yourself to do certain psychedelics, such as ayahuasca. So, do you need to go?
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
Okay.
our guest is writing and saying that he was waiting, but I don't see him waiting.
Oh, really? Okay, so just to finish up here, so Eli Lilly was given a $400,000 grant in 1953 to manufacture and supply LSD to the CIA. Army LSD research was ongoing in 1977 when LSD was a controlled substance. At least 1,500 soldiers were given it without informed consent as part of Army mind control experiments. These facts have never been subject to ethical review or any policy or position statement by any medical organization. There's a lot of information here, and maybe someday we can do a show about this aspect of MK Ultra. But the point being, they sponsored LSD research for a very long time, and then what they did was in Canadian mental hospitals, especially, they were drugging people who are already really sick, psychologically. They already had schizophrenia, or they already had bipolar disorder, or, even some of them were pretty healthy actually, but were suffering from like sleep problems, insomnia, and they were given, LSD. But the majority of the people that were given LSD in those circumstances had a crappy set and setting. This wasn't done with their informed consent. They had no idea what was happening to them. And under those circumstances, something like LSD can be very, very detrimental to a person's psyche. And the purpose of this was to be detrimental to the psyche. They were trying to break it so that they could rebuild it as something that they wanted it to be. Whether that's a Manchurian candidate, assassin person, or whether that's somebody that they can mold into a guru of some sort and use them through in that way. I don't know, but
Sorry,
yeah.
I got distracted from
Yo,
it.
that's okay.
Yeah, it's a shock to some people in the chat that I don't like the Icaros. I just don't like them. No, more power to you if you like them. I'm not, I just don't. I find them annoying as hell. And some people are stuck in tradition, and some people want the tradition, and that's great. Here's the thing, though. It's not tradition. That's the whole crux of this matter here.
Yep.
There's a video of a guy who did a documentary, and he tried to find ayahuasca in the Amazon. He tried to find the genuine. He went to a couple of gringo retreats, and that wasn't it. And so he journeyed on a boat for 2 weeks. 2 weeks on a boat down the Amazon River.
That's what you have to do.
And even at the end of the trip, he couldn't find real ayahuasca.
Really?
He wound up doing that frog poison that they stick in your...
The sapo.
Sapo, yeah. He wound up doing sapo, but he couldn't find real ayahuasca.
Wow.
If his experience is, telling, then yeah, that's why... I mean, you're not going to get a traditional thing when you go to a 5-star resort. You're at a 5-star resort with leather couches and showers and all this. It's not going to be traditional.
Right. The traditional is cold, bathing in the river every morning, and then, spending your days hot, hungry, tired. What you're doing with that.
Yeah, so that's my apprehension, and that's my. I mean, I guess one of my other apprehensions is if I would have waited to spend thousands of dollars to go down there, I probably, number one, would have been disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, I probably would still be waiting to go do that. It'd probably still be on my bucket list. And this is all I'm saying to people is don't let that stop you from having the experience.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be. You know what? Alyssa today, she told me that I gave her one of the Aya Life crystals. And the Aya Life is our CBD oil, and it comes, it's infused with the spirit of Aya.
Mm-hmm.
We use the Beak Happy in the CBD. I guess we can do a quick plug for Aya Life real quick.
Yeah.
99% pure hemp extract, which is the new code word for CBD. Hemp extract. Infused with the spirit of Aya. Ships worldwide. And if you use coupon code BTV, you can get $10 off. Now, I gave her one of the Aya Life crystals, and she said, my friend was hurting, and she had this really bad headache, and I didn't know what to do for her. So I got the crystal, and I put it on her forehead, and I didn't know what to do. And I gave her the Aya Life, I gave her the CBD, and she said, I felt kind of silly, but I just, I put the crystal over, and I started putting intention into her forehead. And she says, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. I didn't know any of that. And I said, you did it exactly the way you should. See, that's the thing. There is no tradition when it comes to this. There is how you do it. It comes from within you. Every ceremony should be different based on who is conducting the ceremony. If you have a ceremony with Kristen Cherie, it's going to be totally different than something you have down in the Amazon, because that's what the shaman does. The shaman doesn't follow tradition, and there's no school for shamans and this and that and blah, 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 blah. A good shaman, in my humble opinion, does it the way the energies are pulling him to do it in one way or another. And I think that's what's missing from a lot of these places is the energy. Some of them may know. Some of them may know how to go by the energy. But I don't know. This is why I say become your own shaman. You have the energy out there. You have it inside of you. Mm-hmm. And of course, you can get the CBD oil. This helps so many people. I mean, we get so many awesome comments about this. Yeah, we do. It's remarkable. At Aya Life, ayalife.com. I'll put it up on the screen here. See, Aya Life, AYA Life, and then put a little .com. All right. So that's my Aya Life plug.
Yeah, no, I completely
Yeah, I mean, sometimes when I talk, I feel like people think that I'm like poo-pooing on their ways, and I'm not.
No.
I'm just saying that doesn't have to be the only way.
Right. And not only that,
this is my problem with the UDV. The UDV says it's for them only. It's not for anybody else.
Yeah,
it's only for them. It's only for them to use in their ceremonies the way that they want it to be used. I mean, they're open about this. They're like, nope, it's for us. No, it's for everybody. That's why DMT is in so many different plants, and it grows in so many different places. The mimosa is in Egypt. It's in South America. It's in Hawaii. It's in Taiwan. It's literally freaking everywhere, because this is something for everybody. It's not just one particular culture in one particular place.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, we get a lot of I stand behind our product 100%, not because it's a product, but because it's changed my life so significantly. It's changed so many people's lives so significantly. It's done such good for everyone.
Lindsay said, got my life so fast. Shipping was quick. It helped with my depression and anxiety immensely. Oh, thank you for that.
It's beautiful, Lindsay, to hear.
That's great. That's fantastic.
I love it. I love hearing stuff like that. Yeah.
With that, I'm starting to get some muscle definition.
Mm-hmm.
All I did was just change my morning routine.
Round face.
Uh-huh.
Aya
Life was the catalyst.
Yeah, for me too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It gives you wings.
Yep.
I would use that as a catchphrase, but it's already taken.
It's already taken. Yeah. You might actually get sued for using that one. But no.
Steph asked, do you not recommend Aya until adrenals are healed? Not Aya Life, ayahuasca.
Yeah, I can answer that one.
Okay.
Adrenal fatigue is a real problem when it comes to doing ayahuasca, and the reason why is because when as somebody mentioned this actually in the chat, and I'm really surprised to hear that somebody else knows about this. DMT is actually activated by serotonin, which is the happiness molecule. It's not by the fight or flight response, which is cortisol and fear. Whenever you're afraid, then you're releasing cortisol. You're not releasing serotonin, and you can't have. You know how who was that said, there's two things, fear and love. You're either in fear or you're in love. You're in the fear frequency or the love frequency. And that's actually true when it comes to DMT and the way your body's going to respond to that. Now, adrenal fatigue is when you run your body into the ground. You're not exercising. You're not eating healthy. You're miserable and depressed most of the time. If you walk into an ayahuasca experience without fasting in the spirit of preparing your body, preparing your mind for the experience, and you're already miserable in your day-to-day life, and you're not really seeing it as anything, or you're seeing it as an escape route, or you're seeing it as something that's going to heal you, and you're not going to have to do any work, then yeah, you're gonna release cortisol instead of the serotonin, and that interacts with DMT in such a way that you have what's thought of as like a difficult experience. I mean, you still get something out of it, but at the same time, you're not gonna benefit from it nearly as much as you would be able to if you prepared your body and your mind and treated the adrenal fatigue beforehand.
Aya is not the only thing, though. You got LSD, you have mushrooms, you have several other psychedelics that you can use. Nothing does what Aya does, though.
No, that's true.
And nothing is as clean as Aya, too.
Yeah, it's very
rough
true.
taking it because it tastes it tastes bad. It tastes like dirt. It really does. And that's one of my things, too. We're like, hey, let's drink tonight. Okay, yeah. I don't know if I want to put that stuff in my stomach right now.
Well, and changing your entire consciousness.
But when you come down from it, you feel rejuvenated.
Yeah.
Whereas LSD, Molly, anything like that, you feel kind of, like, that was a ride.
It's not just how you feel, though. It's coming out of it, and I.
It's more introspective. Where LSD and mushrooms are more, they're introspective, but they're a little more social.
Yeah, like you want to do it with other people.
Ayahuasca is not really social.
No.
It's more like
a personal experience.
I'm going in my cocoon under my blanket. I'll see you in a couple of hours. Rub my head, please.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Ayahuasca is very much it's you dealing with you kind of experience. Or it's you showing yourself or remembering something, It takes all of the feelings that you had beforehand of fear of death, fear of life, fear of all these things in your life. If you have the right kind of ayahuasca experience, then you walk away from it. It's not just the physical aspect of, oh, I feel really good. It's the spiritual and emotional aspect of, things are not as bad as I sometimes think. And, this is a beautiful existence. This is a beautiful life. I'm so grateful to be alive. That's where I see ayahuasca, where I don't see that with other psychedelics. What do you think? I have a baby by my feet. So.
Yeah, I think that you are spot on with that.
I think she needs to use her litter box. So,
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
So you need to let her out to use litter box?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess on that note, we will take a quick break and wrap it up right on the other side. So, we'll be right back.
Actually, she's fine.
Am I interrupting? Thought you might be running low.
Pour yourself a glass, pal.
Thank you, but I'm afraid it would be wasted on me.
I think we wasted our time coming here, don't you?
Your question depends on me understanding what you hope to achieve by coming here.
What we hope to achieve was to meet our makers, get answers, why they even made us in the first place.
Why do you think your people made me?
We made you because we could.
Can you imagine how disappointing it would be for you to hear the same thing from your creator? May I ask you something?
Please do.
How far would you go to get what you came all this way for? Your answers. What would you be willing to do?
Anything and everything.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth!
I am the hub of the wheel, the origin of all life, the devourer of death.
Or maybe you're just hungry. Could it be as simple as that?
I made you, and I will unmake you if I become so inclined.
Oh, I see you now as you truly are. A cancer, a spooling parasite burrowed deep in the heart of this world.
Go now. Play out your pitiful rebellion and take your place among the destroyed, the used, and the damned. But know this. You are a puny creature, more fragile than you realize.
I wonder, Old One, did you truly resurrect me, or were you simply there when I awakened from my torment in the abyss?
All right, we'll skip the intro and get back into it.
All right.
JC said, I would totally trust the both of you as guides. I get what you're saying as far as being your own shaman, but have you ever thought of operating your own ayahuasca retreat?
Ooh.
You become what you hate.
Yeah, but we wouldn't even pretend though that we were anything like a traditional thing. We would be upfront with, hey, if
you drank Aya with us,
we use tons of technology.
what it would be is us brewing it up right. We know what's going in it.
Yep.
Giving it to you, and then letting you have your experience.
Have your own experience.
With no interference.
Yep.
You know, if you need a blanket, if you need something like that, that's it. But, you know, short of that, it's, you know.
And a few hours before, I'll put together the playlist for you, you know.
What I have wanted to do, because Sheree and I are both ordained ministers, is do ayahuasca weddings where we get a couple that's coming out to get married and we talk to them first. We have them do ayahuasca with each other, just the two of them, one-on-one. And of course, we'll be there kind of in the background, but, you know, one-on-one, make sure that they want to go through it, make sure that they understand what the commitment is to one another, and work out any kind of problems that they may have or any kind of issues or anything like that, or bond even closer. Then we marry them. I don't think that that's in the cards for this time around, but it's a thought, though. It's a thought that I think would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh no, I would love to do that. You know, it's whatever we're able to.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
I'm holding the little segment.
Oh, you can hear a motor in the microphone. That's a little kitty motor.
She's very happy.
You know that their purrs vibrate at the same frequency as bones being healed. So they do have a healing element to their bones.
The Russian swim team or something like that, they use cats purring like that frequency to heal. They make it during physical therapy, and that supposedly is what they use to heal fractures and things like that.
Yes. You know, I mean, I looked at them the other day, and I'm actually the one that said to you, I said, do you think these things can be some kind of humans that we knew from before? I mean, you know, it's a thought. Unless you can incarnate as a particular type of animal in a particular type of place for a particular type of reason, and maybe it's just cats, because cats do have the ability to help energetically
Mm-hmm.
in ways that dogs and other animals can't. I mean, other animals do help energetically. Chickens help energetically by giving their life force and exchanging their energy. Cows do the same thing. Cats are protectors, and they ward off spirits, and they ward off grays too. I mean, when I had the gray experience, Bastet was right there at the window. And Sekhmet drinks coffee, which is weird. And they say that catnip is not supposed to work for like 6 months. They both go crazy for the catnip. They're like little psychonauts. They love it. And they just explore deeper and deeper and deeper realms of consciousness. And, you were smoking cannabis the other day, and the cat comes up and wants to smell the smoke, and she gets all stoned with you.
Yep.
And it's like, y'all are too little for this. And they're like, no, we're not. We want it. We want it now. Which makes me wonder, maybe they came in with some other type of memories or something. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about it. Maybe I'm wrong. And maybe these are, little lives. But I just don't want to be in a little furry form that somebody can lock me in a room and I can't go anywhere and I can't even open the refrigerator. That's my
Right.
thing,
Right.
But they are, I do feel like they're a part of us. And that we have, that's why the idea of programmable consciousness, we have given them a part of our essence to be our helpers for now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they feel so much like us. And they resonate at the same frequency because we give them the frequency that we infuse our frequency into them, and they become extensions of us. They become parts of us.
Yep,
What do you think?
exactly. Yeah, they take their personalities it's them, it's their own personalities. I mean, those two have completely different personalities. Sekhmet is more of a cuddly sometimes, and then other times really mean. And, she's more of a kitten, like psychologically, than Bastet. And Bastet is more reserved. She doesn't like to cuddle very much, if at all. And she's very independent, and she's very mature for her age. And they have completely different personalities. Now, on top of that, though, I think a lot of their personalities are things that they learn from us, our energy and our personalities, and then they take those habits on, or those quirks on themselves. I heard a story once about this little old lady who had a cat, and the cat would have insomnia just like she did, and so she would give it some of her sleeping pills sometimes. But it is weird how cats tend to take on so much of our personality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I called them programmable consciousness. Maybe I'm wrong. Somebody asked, what do you think about dogs? I had 2 Snickers and Skittles, my babies, 13 years. They were with me, and they were a big part of me. They really were. And I, through the majority of my psychedelic experience was with Snickers and Skittles. I mean, I got them when I was like, I don't know. I was like 22, 23 years old, something like that. I mean, I was still, heavy into psychedelics, and they were with me through the majority of my trips. But I never connected with them like that. I never felt like they were part of a role that was, a soul level kind of deal, or that they were helping in any particular way, or, anything like that. They were companions. Cats, on the other hand, are very spiritual creatures and very otherworldly creatures. And one of my theses is that they're all connected to the mothership, and the reason they can't climb tinfoil is because it disrupts the uplink. We put tinfoil around the birdhouse because they try to get up to the birdhouse, and the mama bird has eggs up there.
She has eggs up there, yeah.
And they can't go to the tinfoil. And like as soon as they touched the tinfoil, she just went like this.
It was really
like she was
funny to watch.
Deactivated. Yeah. So
it's like she rebooted on the. It's like she rebooted on the pole. She just got real still, like a statue, for a couple seconds. Anyway, a Star Child wants to know: were the dogs adopted? Did you give Did you get them as babies?
I got them as babies. I went to get one.
You did.
And I took one, and then I put him back because I wanted the runt. I wanted the smaller one, so I put him back, and then I took the runt. And as I took the runt, the other one cried this awful cry like I've never heard before. Like he was crying for his life.
Aww.
And I went to the lady and I was like, "All right, how much for both?" And I took them both home, and he almost died right off the bat. And what was it? They called it hypoglycemia, but he had something else wrong with him. He had water on the brain.
Mm-hmm.
What is that called?
Hydrocephalus.
Yeah, hydrocephalus. And I took care of him, and I nursed him, and I gave him all the treatments that he needed and everything like that, and he lived 13 years. I think he would have died had I not taken him, and I think that's why he was crying so bad. He's like, "Take me, please. If you don't, I'm going to die."
Yeah, they're going to put me to sleep eventually, or I'm just going to die of heart failure.
Somebody said it looks like you're petting yourself.
Or, yeah, it kind of does. You can see those little eyes, though. She's so pretty.
Like you have to go down. You can't be on the mixer.
And they're both pretty in their own way. Like she's pretty. They're both the best looking of the type that they are. You know, Sekhmet's a beautiful, beautiful long hair. She's going to be a gorgeous cat. But then so is Bastet of the short hair variety.
People are talking about MDMA and depression in the chat. I didn't get the context, but I know that earlier somebody said, I think it was Regular Girl. She said, the last MDMA experience didn't have that terrible come down, and it didn't. But it didn't have the afterglow like ayahuasca has.
Right.
And,
it had the opposite of an afterglow.
Yeah. But when it comes to depression, MDMA does help. But I could see definitely how it could be a roller coaster.
Yeah.
It's something that takes you up and then poof, drops you back down.
Right.
And when you have control of your consciousness and you understand your consciousness, you can utilize these different tools for sure. But you have to be ready for the pendulum to swing the other way and the roller coaster and so on and so forth. That I think a lot of people don't prepare themselves for, including myself in my journey. I didn't prepare myself for the pendulum swinging, and I fell on my face hard several times. Went through depressions and all this. I mean, even with ayahuasca, you achieve that level of Christ consciousness, and you think, okay, I've done it, and then boom, you fall back down. And you come to the realization that no, it's not Christ consciousness that you achieve. It's raw consciousness that you access. And you access it over and over and over and over and over again. It's not a constant state. It's a state that you reach down for and grab. It's like the depths of the ocean. You can get down to, or the depths of a swimming pool. That's a better example. You get to the depths of the deep end of the swimming pool. You can't stay down there all the time, but you can go down there and touch the bottom and come back up. So, when I had that realization, then I was like, oh, okay, so it's okay for me to fall. It's okay for me to not always be the raw consciousness, or not always be the Christ consciousness, or not always be the enlightened, person and this and that. It's okay if I make mistakes. And that's, I think, the bottom line of everything.
Yep.
That it's okay to fall. It's okay to pick yourself back up.
Yep.
It's a journey. It's not a destination.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And it is about the journey here at Beyond the Veil. And I think we need to wrap it up because it's getting to be about that time.
Yeah, I got to go get the reading of the MRI.
The reading of the MRI, and she unscrolls it.
We were watching Scanner Darkly the other day for like the 1,000th time. But
we've seen it so many times.
There's that scene where Freck... Brent needs to talk to us too.
Okay.
So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, Scanner Darkly. Freck is he overdoses on. He
tries to kill himself using
Yeah. He didn't kill himself though.
No, he tries to. That was
all part of the trip because he's at the end. He's in the hospital at the end.
Oh, okay.
He wouldn't have been at the hospital in the end if he had actually killed himself.
Oh, okay.
So an interdimensional being comes and he goes, "Are you here to read me my sins?" He's like, "They will be read to you in sessions, in
perpetuity.
It's something like that.
Yeah,
over and over and over again for eternity." So that's kind of the inside joke. I'm going to go read the MRI.
The reading of the MRI over and over again.
Yeah, hopefully they're going to give me the thumbs up and I can start doing deadlifts and everything. And, and like really squatting and lifting the squat bar. But my trainer's been like, dude, I'm not doing anything with your knee right now until we know what's going on.
Right.
Yeah. So if y'all can send some good energy for me that the knee's good. It felt good today. Oh, Haska sent a donation. You rock, Haska. Thank you so much for the love. Yes. And so thank you for tuning in to this last minute show. I heard back from our guest that we originally had scheduled, and we're going to reschedule with them. Apparently it was a mix-up. And so I think it's a Skype deal because they said they were waiting. Oh. And I sent several Skype messages and there was nobody there. So...
Well, it'll be okay.
And there'll be nobody home.
But it is a very special guest. And so we'll have them on again.
And tomorrow, 8 o'clock Pacific, Dr. Richard Allen Miller.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard Richard Allen Miller, it's been years since we've had him on. He is the best energy guest. That he's just like, he's like the crazy old professor. But no. Back to the Future. Doc Brown. He's like Doc Brown.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
He's like, oh, let me tell you about ayahuasca and the occult here.
Except more jolly.
Did you know you can do this?
Uh-huh.
Morty, I've invented a time machine. He's an awesome guy. I love him.
He really is.
So
he really is.
Kiss the one you love right now. You never know the last time is going to be. And we'll see you even further.
Beyond the Veil.